Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the genesis of the gear, the actual birth of the Benz Motorwagen. We live in this crazy world of supercars and self-driving vehicles, but the very first practical automobile, it produced less than 1 single horsepower. And get this, it didn't even have a steering wheel. Let's get right into it.
Here's our agenda for the day. We'll be looking at the first practical automobile, designing the gasoline engine, technical and social challenges, birth of Ben's historic drive, and finally, a lasting global impact.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the first practical automobile.
Now, you might be wondering who actually invented the first car. Throughout the 19th century, inventors were literally strapping heavy steam engines and electric motors to horse carriages. But they were way too heavy and honestly totally unreliable. A true car needed a high power-to-weight ratio and actual independent mobility. So who pulled it off, and why is this one specific machine so absolutely crucial to our history?
Well, the huge breakthrough came from a guy named Karl Benz. He's the historic engineer widely considered to be the inventor of the first practical automobile. And here's why. He didn't just lazily bolt an engine to a horse buggy. Nope, he designed a holistic, fully working, three-wheeled vehicle totally from scratch. He proved, once and for all, that internal combustion was a genuinely viable way to transport human beings.
Let's look at the timeline here. Benz successfully built his very first operational vehicle in 1885. But the absolute critical moment? That happened in 1886 when he secured patent number 37435. Historians basically recognize that specific patent as the official birth certificate of the modern car. It was the exact moment the automobile went from an idea to a documented reality.
And as for where this happened, this completely new era of transportation was born in Mannheim, Germany. Right in that city, Ben spent countless hours, day and night, forging and assembling the literal components that would eventually change how humanity moved forever.
Moving right along to Section 2, designing the gasoline engine.
So, Benz had to meticulously plan absolutely every component from scratch. He used a lightweight steel frame and wire-spoked wheels, kind of borrowing that technology straight from bicycles. And because he wasn't happy with the steering systems they had for 4 wheels back then, he just went ahead and designed his own rack and pinion steering system specifically for 3 wheels. Oh, and for fuel, he chose a highly combustible solvent called Legroin. The crazy part, you could only buy it at pharmacies back then.
Okay, so how did this early machine actually work? It was really like a beautiful 3-step mechanical symphony. First, the liquid gasoline fuel is introduced. Step 2, a battery sparks that fuel inside a single-cylinder engine, creating a controlled explosion. And finally, Step 3, that explosive power pushes a piston. That piston turns a large flywheel, which then uses chains to physically drive the rear wheels forward. Pretty genius, right?
But it wasn't all smooth sailing. That brings us to Section 3, technical and social challenges. Karl Benz actually faced 2 massive hurdles here. On the technical side, he had to engineer an entirely new type of powered machine. He had to figure out how to cool down an engine that was basically constantly exploding inside. He eventually settled on a simple water evaporation system. But then you have the social challenges. The public was facing a huge learning curve. They were entirely used to horse-drawn transport, so people were frankly terrified of this loud, smoke-belching machine. They called it dangerous, some even said it was just a noisy passing fad. Actually, breaking that stubborn societal mindset was probably his hardest task of all.
Which perfectly sets up Section 4, birth of Benz's historic drive.
Now, Karl was a brilliant engineer, for sure, but he was actually terrified to market his own car. Enter his wife, Bertha Benz. She just took matters into her own hands. In 1888, literally without telling him, she packed up their teenage sons and drove this thing 66 miles across the countryside. It was wild. When the fuel line clogged up, she cleaned it out with her hat pin. When a wire short-circuited, she insulated it with her garter. She even had to stop at a local pharmacy to buy more fuel, basically turning it into the world's very first gas station. Her rogue, long-distance journey completely shattered public skepticism and proved to everyone that the car was genuinely practical.
And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, a lasting global impact.
It's hard to overstate this, but this single invention fundamentally changed human transportation forever. By proving that a gas-powered engine could move people safely over long distances, the Benz Motorwagen laid the exact groundwork for the massive, trillion-dollar modern automobile industry we have today. It literally reshaped our cities, our economies, and our entire daily lives.
Just to quickly summarize the foundational facts we've covered, take a look at this table. The brilliant inventor was Karl Benz, working out of Mannheim, Germany. The critical patent era was 1885 to 1886. The power source was that pioneering gasoline engine. And of course, the crucial figure who actually proved its worth to the whole world was the fearless Bertha Benz.
Karl and Bertha Benz transformed history with just 3 wheels and less than 1 horsepower. So, knowing how their single, practical automobile changed absolutely everything about the way we live, what do you think the next transportation